Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
Hey, what up, girl?
Grab my glass.
The music industry loves to talk about talent, about who's next, who's unstoppable, who's going to change everything. But what they don't talk about is what happens when that talent stops playing along. This is the other side of fame, the part where labels lock your songs in vaults, bury your albums, or tie you up in contracts so tight you can't even breathe. It doesn't matter how good you are or how big you get. If you don't play by their rules, they'll make sure the world stops hearing you. From Prince, who turned himself into a symbol just to escape a system that claimed his masters. To Aaliyah, whose groundbreaking music was kept from fans for decades after she was gone. These are the stories of artists who had everything: vision, hits, fans, and still got silenced. Some fought their way out, some are still fighting, but all of them proved the same thing. The system wasn't built to set them free. Joanna was that girl, barely a teenager, already shutting down the charts and making grown folks do double takes like, wait, how old is she again? Her voice? Way too good. Her confidence? Dangerous. She had one of those breakout moments where the whole industry starts whispering about the next big thing. But right when it felt like the universe was teeing her up to go even bigger, things got messy. Her label, Blackground, pretty much ghosted her career. She had music ready, growth to show, a fan base waiting. They said no, and kept saying no, over and over. Nothing came out. No new albums, no momentum, just silence. And the worst part? She couldn't even leave. That contract had her locked up, and nobody was coming with the keys. Years passed, everyone else kept moving. New names popped up. Joanna was still stuck, making music in the dark, hoping something would change. Eventually, she took matters into her own hands, went indie, lawyered up, fought like hell, won, and then she spun the whole thing on its head, re-recorded the old songs with her grown voice, gave them new life, and claimed them as hers. Completely. No borrowed rights, no label strings, just hers. Now she's out. She's singing exactly how she wants, and doing it without asking for permission. The girl they tried to bench? Still here, still singing circles around most of the game. Next, Prince. Prince wasn't just in the industry. He made it play by his rules, then torched the old handbook for fun. He already had the world obsessed. The fits? Iconic. The music? Unmatched. But while everyone thought he was just floating through fame, he was actually locked in a tug of war with the suits at Warner. They tried to box him in, slow him down, tell him when to drop songs, what to put out, and worst of all, they claimed his masters. Prince? He was cooking up entire albums like it was nothing, but couldn't release them because apparently he was being too much. Imagine stacking masterpieces and having to shelf them while the label played gatekeeper. So he flipped the script, literally changed his name to a symbol, threw the press into chaos, and made it crystal clear he wasn't going to play their little game anymore. It looked dramatic, but this wasn't for show. This was him breaking up with a system that tried to own him. And then came the biggest mic drop. He walked into public appearances with "slave" written across his face. Subtlety. Never heard of it. He was done playing nice. This was about control, about being the boss of your own art. It took forever, but he made it through. Took his music back, dropped whatever he wanted, when he wanted, and became the blueprint for every artist fighting for their rights. He wasn't just ahead. He was the moment before anyone else even realized there was one. Next, Kesha.
Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
Hey, what up,
Grab
girl?
my glass.
Kesha pulled up like a glitter bomb. Loud, messy, fun, and everywhere. That first song hit like a chaotic pregame, and suddenly she was the soundtrack to every party on earth. But while the world saw confetti and chaos, behind the scenes, it was something way darker. She'd signed to Dr. Luke's label under Sony back when she was still new, thinking it was a shot at her dream. Instead, it turned into something straight out of a horror film. Years later, she came forward with everything. Said he drugged her, hurt her, and kept her trapped in a toxic cycle of control. She just wanted out. Sony wasn't having it. Even with the internet rallying behind her and big names speaking up, the legal system slammed the brakes. She was still technically tied to him. She couldn't drop new music, couldn't walk away. Meanwhile, he just kept working like nothing happened. Her fight turned into something way bigger than herself. Suddenly, everyone was talking about how artists get controlled, how women especially get pushed into silence, and how the system protects the wrong people. She didn't ask to be the face of that conversation, but they gave her no choice. When she finally came back, it wasn't party mode anymore. She dropped an album that sounded like healing and fury at the same time. It was messy and honest and cracked open everything she'd been holding in. She didn't just survive it, she dragged herself out of it, loud, emotional, and completely unfiltered. Next, Aaliyah. Aaliyah wasn't just next in line, she was the moment. Everything about her was different. The voice, the energy, the sound that somehow made R&B feel futuristic without trying too hard. She had already shifted the whole scene before most people even realized what was happening. But after she passed, everything went weird. Her songs, her albums, the stuff that built her legacy, just vanished. No streaming, no access. Fans had to dig through bootlegs and YouTube scraps, while everyone she influenced got playlists, shoutouts, and digital flowers. Her work stayed locked up like some hidden artifact. The problem? It all came down to Barry, her uncle, who also ran her label. He had the keys to everything and wasn't letting go. Some said it was grief, some said it was ego, others said it was all about money. Either way, he kept her music in a digital chokehold while the rest of the world kept asking, begging, waiting. It dragged on forever. Then out of nowhere, the music started popping back up. But it didn't feel right. The rollout was messy, the estate wasn't cool with it, and people couldn't tell if this was about love or just a cash grab. It felt like Aaliyah's legacy got treated like a business deal instead of something sacred. She changed music. That was never in question. But after she was gone, the silence wasn't just tragic, it was intentional. Her story wasn't just what she gave the world, it was how the world fumbled it. Next, Tinashe. Tinashe had it all: crazy talent, creative control, and stage presence that could eat half the industry alive. She wrote, she sang, she produced, she danced. When that first album dropped, people thought it was game over. She wasn't just versatile, she was doing stuff that felt new without screaming, "Look at me." But after that, crickets. Her label had no idea what to do with her. RCA kept chasing another hit like 2 On and tried to shove her into every trendy box they could find. Whenever she brought them something left of center or too bold, they'd either shelve it or mess with the rollout so bad the momentum died before it even started. She kept pushing anyway, dropping teasers, hinting at projects, trying to build something, but it felt like she was running uphill while they were dragging her back down. Nothing got the support it deserved. She was doing all the heavy lifting while the label just stood there. Eventually, she called it, cut ties, went indie, and never looked back. And the second she left, everything changed. She dropped an album that finally sounded like her. No label politics, no fake directions, just Tinashe in full control, doing what she should have been allowed to do from day one. Turns out the label wasn't shaping her. They were just in the way. Next, Dawn Richards. Dawn should have been everywhere by now. Vocals, insane. Creativity, through the roof. But instead of getting her flowers, the industry kept playing dumb. She first popped up killing it in Danity Kane, the MTV-made girl group that actually had hits. They went platinum. They were on every red carpet. It was a whole era. But Diddy stayed stirring the pot. The group kept falling apart, getting rebooted, then collapsing again. And Dawn, always stuck in the mess, trying to make it work. Then came Dirty Money. That group was light years ahead, blending sounds nobody else was touching. And Dawn was the glue holding it all together. Her voice shaped that whole project. But just as it was picking up, Diddy bailed. Again, Dawn got left behind like she was disposable. Instead of fading out, she said, "Screw it," and went solo. That's when things got real. The music she started dropping, On a different level, concept albums, emotions you could feel, sounds that didn't care about radio trends. Critics were obsessed, indie R&B fans knew. She was in her own lane, no competition in sight, but still, no big budget push, no radio spins, because she didn't fit the formula. She was a black woman making weird genre-blending art, and the industry didn't know what box to shove her in. She spoke on it too, loudly, exposed the fake support, the performative allyship, the way the game's rigged. And even with all that, she never stopped. She just kept creating loud, experimental, fearless music that refused to beg for approval.